So Ashley, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, John. Really, really good. I'm full of the cold at the minute, though, but what can you do?
Yeah. Oh, is that after the your Six Nations weekend? Is it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. The Six Nations party did me a little bit dirty, but it's all right.
But like, you had a good time. To be fair, good idea what you've done.
Yeah, definitely. It was really, really
Yeah.
good. We all had a good crack.
Good, good. So before we get stuck into your sporting story and education and stuff, where was home for you and who lived at home with you as a kid?
So I'm originally from the Shetland Isles, so
Right.
northeast Scotland, and I lived at home growing up with my big brother Jonathan and my mum.
Right. So how was that with a big brother? What goes on there competition
Um,
wise?
it was good. My brother was never really into sports, being honest. I was. I always was as a kid. But I was the typical annoying little sister that just wanted to be involved in everything my big brother was doing. Every time Jonathan had friends over and stuff, I had to like put my nose in, and I just wanted to be involved.
Just hoping they left a bit of Ben and Jerry's for you to have when he'd done one.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's school like up there? Because I imagine it's a very small community. Everyone knows everyone, and
Yeah, yeah, it is. So on the island, there's only two high schools. So it's kind of like a north and south kind of idea. Um, there's loads of primary schools across the island. But I went to the biggest school on the island. It's really good. Exactly what you said. It is a very small community. A lot of people know everybody. People are in their own pockets, but it's the most beautiful place in the whole world. I love Shetland. I can't really diss it too much.
oh, I'm not asking you to, don't worry.
I wouldn't move back
So yeah, you love it that much. So what sport like on the Shetlands then? Is it limited? Did he allow you to have
No,
about everything or
there's loads of sports in Shetland, being honest. As a kid, I played hockey, netball, and I did some trampolining. When I was growing up, rugby was never something I saw. I tried to get into football because I was a little bit of a tomboy, but it wasn't for me because I was putting goals. So I didn't like that whatsoever. But it's only really after I've left the island that I've realised how big rugby is on Shetland. Like they've got a women's team and a men's team, and they do a lot with juniors, etc., just to try to get the youth up. But it was never something I was introduced when I was in Shetland itself.
that's fair enough then. It's still what we'll talk about later on as well, about
Mhm.
what other sports you play outside of rugby, but you seem to enjoy the contact sport, don't you?
Yeah, but I never ever really thought I would. So when I told my dad that I started playing contact sports, he literally just couldn't believe it. Like I think he thought I was
Yeah.
fibbing when I first told him I was playing rugby. And then later down the line, I took up American football. So I think dad
Yeah.
was worried about my mental state, being honest, of me going into nothing and then all of a sudden into the two biggest contact sports
Extreme.
going.
Yeah. So but you really, hockey is very physical.
Yeah,
Netball,
definitely.
I only heard from the girls I grew up with, it's elbows in the face and a little bit of standing on feet. And it's all of it's got that element of controlled aggression in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the best way to put it. Controlled aggression.
What's that? Why is that grin? That controlled.
Probably because I'm not very controlled with aggression when it comes to rugby and American football. I'm the least aggressive person you'll ever meet in your life. So the fact that I play very aggressive sports is just completely out of my nature.
What? A nice outlet for you, I imagine. Obviously, we'll talk later on about the line of work you're in and how that is for a woman in that environment and stuff. But is it a nice outlet for you so you can go and
Yeah,
express yourself for an hour and a half? And
absolutely. It's amazing. I never thought that like I'd be such a good stress reliever. It's incredible.
yeah. Right, so we'll go right back then. So junior school and how does that look for you, Ash?
So school, I would like to say I'm very well behaved.
Mhm.
I had to study really hard to try get anywhere. Um, I think it's just the way I think. I think a bit differently to everybody else. All my teachers always said to me, you have to work smarter, not harder, Ashley. Just, I don't know. I think I just operate on kind of different thinking levels to everybody else. I had to go to like after school clubs. I had to do like night schooling when I broke my foot when I was younger, and I had to get homeschooled and everything. And they thought I was going to be held back a year in school because I just wasn't learning as fast as they thought I would. But yeah, it's one of them. It was really, really good though. Obviously, I made loads of friends, etc. in school. I still stay in contact with two of my best friends from school. So it's really, really good.
That, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So are you more of a doer than a sayer sort of thing? So you'd rather be out and practically doing it than theory on paper sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't really apply myself on paper very well, as much as I like to think that I can. I'm definitely better on the practical side.
Right. Is it something you've had to adapt to, and how have you found that?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's just like different ways of learning, and just being open to be able to receive the different ways of learning as well is a huge aspect of it all, I find. Because when I struggled in school, I was very close-minded. I wasn't willing to kind of learn and develop in different ways. But I think as I've grown older, you have to, because otherwise, how else are you going to develop?
Yeah, we all think we know better as a kid as well, don't we?
Oh my God.
It's just the way it is. Yeah. So you transition into high school, how was that? And is that when your eyes were open to sport, really? High school?
Absolutely. Because in Shetland, you get forced to do PE. I don't know what it's like on the mainland down here. I don't know what it's like in Wales. And I tried to do the minimal amount of PE as possible because I was just like, I don't want to do this. I would rather be sitting doing sports that I enjoy, because what we were forced to do in PE was either basketball, badminton, or swimming. And I hated all three of them. It was horrible. So I resented sports in that aspect of when it was forced upon me. But when I got the opportunity to go do sports, I'd be doing sports most nights, being honest. If I could join a new team, that's what I wanted to do. But as soon as I was in high school, being forced to play badminton because I've got the worst coordination on the planet, I really resented it. I did not like it at all. And basketball, I'm only 5'3", so you can imagine how terrible I was at that as well.
Well, I have got a question, like, considering how small you are, your position, or picture a scene of you playing rugby, very much as if you go up in lineouts.
No, so that picture of me wearing lifting blocks, that was a last minute decision. God bless our coach. We didn't have anybody to go up, and he was just like, right, we're going to have to potentially have you up in a line out, Ashley. I think I got up in the line out in training on the Wednesday. And then when it came to the game on Sunday, thank goodness I didn't have to go up, but I had to be prepared anyway, just to be on the safe side.
So you should have strapped it up by your ankles, shouldn't you?
Exactly.
Which, again, them three sports you spoke about that you were forced to play, and you're saying your coordination isn't up to what you'd imagine it's up to. Yet the sports you play, the very little movements and intricacies all warrant decent coordination at the very least, don't they?
Yeah.
So you must have had something about you, and you've just not realised it.
Yeah, that's it. I think I was just kind of like more closed-minded in school, and I was just like, oh, I don't really know what I'm capable of. And it's only as I've grown older, then I'm more open-minded to it all, and I'll welcome it more. I'll welcome new things. Yeah. Whereas when I was younger, I wasn't really into things like that. I was just like, oh, I'd rather stick to my own kind of boundaries and comforts, being honest.
Yeah. And then, so competition-wise at school, was it internal, or did you go and do a bit of travelling with the sport? With you only having two schools?
A lot of it was internal because we've got like kind of rivalry clubs, etc. in Shetland. But I did get the opportunity to travel to the Orkney Islands a few times to sit and play netball, so that was good.
Yeah, and what's it like? So, is there any like representative opportunities, or is the sport clicky at all? Because I've strictly just played rugby through life, and I know that can be clicky, which hopefully you've not had to come across. But I imagine other sports are very much the same.
Yeah, definitely, they can be. Yeah. I think it just depends on what club, etc., you belong to, what the team's like. Because I've had experiences in clicky teams, but as soon as you move to a different team, it's a completely different culture in it. So I think it just depends sometimes who your team members are.
Right. And when it comes to competition, are you fierce? Do you just enjoy the game, or is it a bit of both?
I don't know. Sometimes I can be a little bit competitive, but I would say that I'm more of like a happy-go-lucky type of person. As much as my team probably wish I was a bit more competitive, they always ask me, well, they don't ask me, they tell me that they want to see my aggressive side, but no matter how much I try to get it out of me, I just can't. I would just rather just like have fun and just play for me and play for my team. So as much as I would like to be competitive, I don't really think I've got it in me sometimes.
Yeah. And are you someone that needs like an early touch in them sports you were involved in? Or are you happy to be patient and let the flow of the game come to you?
I definitely get really, really bad nerves and things like that before a game. So I like having the initial hits and tackles done at the beginning. If it doesn't happen kind of in the first 5 minutes, I'm kind of like I'm a wreck in the game because I'm nervous and I like build up that nervousness.
So you'll go and seek that contact or that first touch.
Just to put myself at ease for the rest of the game, because if I don't get that first touch out the way, then like I can tell that I'm off because I'm worried about that build up of when's it going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. So I would rather have it in my control that I get out the way.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah. So what's school like? So you're playing sports. How's the educational side going, and what inspired you to go on and do what you're doing?
I don't really know, being honest. A lot of my friends, they left and went to university, and I was the only one out of my kind of friendship group that didn't go off to uni. So to leave Shetland, you go down to Glasgow or Edinburgh or Dundee or anything like that. And when the time came, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I signed up and I did a gap year with my local council, travelled around parts of the world doing research about student needs. So we visited schools all around the globe, which was really, really good. And then by the time I came back to Shetland at 18, that was when I started my career in health and safety. It was just very much a fluke how it all happened. The Shetland gas plant was operational, and it's very much of, with it being Shetland, very close community. Some of my family members worked up there. So I just managed to get a job, and then, I don't know, I just preferred learning whilst I was working rather than going to university or anything like that, because I think it was because I felt like I couldn't apply myself very well, and that's what put me off going to university.
Sometimes that environment just doesn't suit Ashley, does it?
Yeah,
the working one does, so you're learning and being paid, which is two beauties, really.
Definitely.
Right, so let's talk about travelling the world a little bit, if that's all right. So
yeah, of course.
How do you just fall into that, and what places did you go?
So I fell into the gap year itself because it was through something called Learning School, and that's like a function that the Shetland Islands Council run out. But I had heard about it because I did like a school exchange a few previous years, and we went to South Africa. I went with a really good friend of mine called Emma, and it was so much fun going to South Africa. And then that's when I first heard about what Learning School was. And when I found out that they were hosting Learning School again, I just knew I had to put an application form in to see if I could potentially seek this opportunity. I was really lucky to be selected. It was really, really good. It was like a small knit group of us that got selected. And it was incredible. So we went to a few places around Europe. We went to New Jersey. We went to New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. It was just absolutely incredible. Honestly, it was the best thing I ever did.
Very good then, though. Do you get downtime when you're over in them places? Do you get to go and see a bit of the country or the city you're in and stuff?
Yeah, we did. So we would go to the schools during the week, and then the weekend was just kind of our time. And then there were sometimes, depending on traveling, that we'd maybe have an extended weekend, etc. So no, it was incredible. It was the best thing I ever did. And if you speak to my dad about it, my dad says that traveling is the thing that like changed me, that made me who I am now. So
right.
It was really
good. Did you see that? Or is it took someone like your dad to tell you that it's brought you out of you?
It took my dad to tell me, because I never really realized who I was or anything like that. But now it's like been pointed out to me and highlighted to me. I've got more confidence in myself, and it really did just change me, because I had to fend for myself basically. So I was with a group of people that weren't my family. And it was just like, well, what do you do in this situation, etc. So no, it was really good.
So you've just turned from a lady to a woman overnight on a travel,
Yeah,
really, and
yeah.
come back adulting. So what were the cultures like? Was there something you enjoy? Could you have seen yourself possibly going back to any of them countries?
Oh
Or
my gosh, yeah. So South Africa, I've been there 3 times. I absolutely love the place. I wanted to move there. I wanted to go to Stellenbosch University. So for someone that never wanted to go to university, when I went traveling, I was like, I could potentially settle here. This place is amazing. But by the time I finished my gap year, I went home and just started working. Then I was just like, no, working's for me. But I'd go back again in a heartbeat, no problem whatsoever.
yeah, what keeps you going back? Is it work, or has some of it been leisure as well?
Oh, just leisure, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's all right for some, isn't it? So you come back and you start the journey in, like you said, health and safety. And when you walk through that door on the first formal day, how does that feel for a young woman in a
So I
predominantly
was,
male-dominated industry, isn't it?
yeah, so I was 18, 19 when I started, and there was about 3,000 contractors on that site. Never been in a position like this before. It was the most nerve-wracking thing in the whole world, being honest. It was
Yeah,
it was hard. It was really, really hard. Um, but I think just after finding who I was, I think it just made it a lot easier. Um,
mm,
I never really felt like there was that, I don't know, like female male divide because I was so set in who I was. It didn't matter what the
mm,
sex was of somebody.
yeah.
But
No,
don't
I
get me
like that
wrong.
because you shouldn't have been made to feel like that either.
Yeah,
But it
definitely.
happens, doesn't it?
It
Yeah,
does.
I'm not justifying it, by the way. I'm
No, no,
just
I
saying
know.
it does happen.
It
Yeah,
does, absolutely. But then I've been in the industry 10 years now. And don't get me wrong, there is elements where I am put in kind of not nice situations because I am female. But you just stand your own ground as a human being. It doesn't matter what sex you are.
you can't be nice when you get your gun shield out your bag and that, and you're ready
Yeah,
to go.
exactly. I think it frightens a lot of people when they say to me, like, what have you done the weekend, Ashley? And I'm like, oh, I had American football on Saturday, I had rugby on Sunday, and they're just kind of like, what?
Yeah, do you know what? I imagine so because when Sarah told me, and you look so feminine, so petite. And you just don't expect it. You look really innocent. Don't look like you'd want to smash anyone around.
That's
It's
it.
just it's mad, isn't it? Like your alter ego.
I know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was in them times. Have you ever sat down and thought this might not be for me? This or is there that in a woman going? No, we can prove to people that we can mix it with anyone we want to mix it with.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was like my stubbornness got the
Yeah,
better of me and just said, like, don't give up. So when I did have like hard days, it was just a matter of, well, let's prove everybody wrong. What else are you gonna do, Ashley? Are you gonna go to university? And I didn't want that. So I was just like, I'm just gonna
yeah,
stick it out in my career. And just being lucky enough that I can call it a career. Been doing it for 10 years now, and hopefully I'll be doing it until I retire. And it's
yeah.
something I
Was there
really
any
enjoy.
press? Yeah, sorry. Was there any pressures from home, or would you know how to go and be who you wanted to be? And
Um,
because I imagine a lot of like when I was growing up, a lot of my mates were told this is how things work, and I was very much allowed to go and do what I felt was a bit of me.
yeah, definitely. I
Um,
think pressures mostly came from school, being honest. Our
yeah,
teachers were very much of after you've finished high school, you must go to university and you won't succeed unless you have a university degree or anything like that. My mom was very supportive of me. My dad was just the best thing in the whole world. He always said to me, like, I don't have to go to university if I don't want to. I did all of the career days, all of them weird career tests that they
yeah.
get you to do as well. And I was just like, none of these are for me. I don't know what I want to do. So,
You went for the freebies and got a magnet, not a hoodie.
yeah, exactly.
No, it's nice that you've gone and you've found your own way, isn't it? You've been allowed to go and do the travel with that job that you fell into, which was obviously meant to be. I'm a big believer in stuff like that. And then you've come home and you've done the grind, haven't you? You've started really from probably the bottom
Yeah,
You've had to
absolutely.
mix it with very
Absolutely.
experienced people.
Definitely. Because when I started in health and safety, I was just doing the administration for the team. And it was
Yeah,
very much, not to sound sexist, but a typical woman's job, doing the admin, working behind a computer, etc. But as I explained more to like my line manager at the time of I want to get more experience, I want to learn, and that's when I was allowed to like be on site more and learn from my team. And it was just like this is what I want to do. So it was really good.
I think you've probably thrived because you've been in the other side of it, and then you've gone to the practical, so you can sort of link two and two.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah,
that's one of my big strengths now I find in my current job role is that I've got the knowledge from kind of like the back office
yeah,
experience, the kind of corporate world of it all. Like I've got a long way to go in my career now of being up to scratch with some of my colleagues at the sharp end on site. But the thing is I've got no problem admitting the fact that I've got a long way to learn, I've got a long way to go. And I think that's a strength that I have because I'm not afraid to say that I still need to learn. I don't know everything. But
and
whereas
you
I
put it out
find,
there that you need a hand as well. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
if you need help, you'll ask for it. That's a big strength, isn't it? It
Yeah,
shows your character more than theirs, probably.
definitely. Because I find sometimes my colleagues that I can work alongside or clients or anything like that, that you can tell that they don't know the answer, but they'll just try pretend that they know the answer.
Yeah, blag you,
So,
which doesn't help you, does it?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. So when it comes to moving away, how does that decision come about? How is it explained to family what you're doing, and what was the big motivator behind that?
So the big motivator, I was with an ex at the time, and he lived down this way. Moved with him, the job came to an end, contract and etc. And then when we moved, it was just let's go get another job. I
Yeah,
was lucky that my line manager on the gas plant knew my current line manager now. He said, I've
right.
got somebody that's going to be moving. At the time, I was a young girl. He was just like, oh, she's a good girl and stuff like that. She'd be good to have on your team. So, yeah, it was just literally the construction industry being the industry that it is of I know somebody that's looking for a job. Do you know someone that's needing a job, etc. So, yeah, so I think I was really, really lucky in that aspect. Um, and then I remember after breaking up with my ex, like, do I move back to Shetland? I remember that was one of the biggest questions I'd go through my mind and like speak to my family about. But I remember, well, I was phoning my dad and telling him the whole thing. And you remember saying, he was just like, well, what are you going to do if you come back home to Shetland? And that was like the epiphany moment of, well, yeah, what am I going to do? I've got so much more
Yeah,
opportunities down here. So it was very much of, my dad's always said to me, like, the world's my oyster. And it's just something that like I've lived with my entire life. I always say that to people, and I don't know. I just think it's such a nice way to sit and have a look and aspect on life.
yeah, and sometimes you need that outside of your front door chat, don't you? And a
Yeah,
bit of like bit of common sense when you're in a bit of strife, isn't it? Really.
yeah, absolutely.
Plus, your dad probably wants a weekend away now and then, doesn't
Yeah, exactly.
he?
Absolutely. I think that was
But
one of the main reasons.
yeah. So, do you know when I won't go too much into it, like I've not saying you this and that, but when you're going through them issues, is the people down there for you to lean on, or
Oh
are the
yeah.
people you've met through were they your own friends, or did you meet them through the ex? And how was that? When did you never feel
Um,
on your own sort of thing?
no, being honest, which I think
No.
I was quite lucky. I think that's just my personality. Like I can make friends with a rock, John. Like I'm just one of them people. But I was so lucky to have like my work colleagues I've known through the industry since I was 18 as
Yeah.
well. So I knew a lot of the people down here. And then just kind of work colleagues going out after work, etc., and then branching out and just making them additional friends. And then obviously still having my two best friends from Shetland. One of them lives in
Yeah.
Leeds now, and one of them lives in Glasgow. So we actually all somehow moved off the island together in a weird roundabout way. And I took up rugby, and they're like my family.
Yeah. No, well, and that's the beauty of sport, isn't it? A team environment then
Absolutely.
becomes family, doesn't it? Hence, some of the questions we'll chat about in a bit. Right, so how was rugby introduced to you then, and where was the first club you went down to?
So rugby, I was friends with one of the fabrication superintendents called Mark, when I worked for a company called Balfour BT, and he literally just shared a Facebook post one day saying, Shotton Steel Ladies are recruiting and to come down to the old clubhouse at Rowley's Drive. And that was it. I just turned up one day in my dress and high heels because I'd been at work all day. And I remember turning up. I didn't know a single thing about rugby. I knew that the ball was a different shape. That was it. I didn't know anything else, John. And it was literally, I saw a Facebook post and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a whirl. And I did.
And that's how things start, isn't it? That's the power of social media and the nice side of things. So when you get there, then you've already got the principal skills, haven't you, due to your other sports, without you knowing. And the one beauty of the dressing room, I'd imagine, is straight away there's open arms.
Yeah.
There's probably a couple of bags of Haribo dotted about, half-drank can of Red Bull or Monster. There are other beverages, obviously. But it is that welcoming
absolutely
factor, isn't it?
As soon as I got there, I just thought, like, I love these women. Like, they're so good. And I just knew that I didn't know if rugby was going to be my sport. Initially, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I think it was just the fear factor of it. I was terrified the whole time. But the women in the team, they were just so amazing. Like, they really, really made me feel at ease. And that's the reason why I've stayed at that club now for 5 years. I wouldn't want to leave that family.
And the beauty is, I imagine, all very different backgrounds, very different jobs. Some of them may not have jobs, and this is the one thing that keeps them going sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the thing that brings us together every week.
Yeah, makes everyone level playing field, so to speak, depending on facilities and stuff, obviously. So how are your facilities, and what happens when you rock up with your heels and you don't really know what's happening?
So when I rocked up my heels, I got some very, very odd comments from the girls, as you can imagine. The facilities, when I first joined the club, we were at kind of like an older clubhouse, and they said that they had plans to get a new one. So we're in our new one now at a place called T Calon. I think it's maybe a year old, if that. It's incredible, state of the art, like such an amazing clubhouse. When we've welcomed teams from other areas of North Wales, they're always commenting on it, saying that's really, really good. So we are lucky, definitely, with the clubhouse we've got.
Yeah. So how did your first session go? What do you remember about it? And what made you go back? My
first session was definitely just the girls taking the piss out of me, being honest. Just the fact I was Scottish as well. I think that was another thing that they just kept whipping into me about. Just telling me to like say different things, and no, it was really, really good. The fitness element was the biggest thing for me. We didn't do contact really when I first started playing because it was like pre-season when I started. And then I think it was maybe 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks into the training sessions when we had our first game. And when I had my first game, you should see the photos. I'm just stood out on the wing, having no idea what is going on, because that was the first game I'd ever seen in my life, was the game I played.
So you hadn't even...
I hadn't even seen anything on TV. I hadn't seen anything at different clubhouses. That was it. That was my first rugby game.
And a player to you then. So you're learning on the job. And what little tips do people help you with?
The biggest tip from the girls was definitely when they shout at me, not to take it to heart. Everyone down at Shotton Steel, they're brilliant at like telling you what to do, because we have that much different abilities within the club. Yeah. So we've got some people that have played ever since they were kids. We've had people like just recently join as well. I know that one of my best friend now, I think she started maybe the week before I did at Shotton Steel too. So it's good knowing that you have like a newbie with you. So when you have no idea what's going on, it's like, do you know what's going on? No. Okay, then right, I feel a bit better now.
And she said no and then just nod.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it the people when so have you had many new joiners since you've played?
Yeah, even this year, so what, we're in March now. I think we
Yeah,
had 6 newbies this year, so it's incredible for the women's team.
yeah. And do you feel like maybe you put your arm around someone now and you're like, do you know what you're doing? And
Oh,
is it nice to do
110%.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I love it. Not that I know all the laws inside out. I'll openly tell someone, like, I've got no clue why that was a penalty, but
yeah,
I'll try explain as much as I possibly can. But no, I love welcoming the newbies down. I think they look at me sometimes like I'm on crack or something because I'm just like excited to see a new person.
yeah. No, and that's exactly how women's sports going, not just rugby, isn't it? It's thriving at the minute. So we'll go back to your first game then. So you played on the wing.
Yep.
You're not quite sure
No idea.
what. Never mind the score, but what happens? How's your first tackle? How's the first carry? And
I don't know, being honest. I think I pushed that to the back of my brain. It was just like the whole experience was just kind of overwhelming, being honest.
yeah,
I think it
I,
was
I-
the welcoming by my team too was probably like the biggest memory I remember from that game of like
yeah,
getting to the clubhouse and being in the changing room experience and doing the warm up together and then doing your first ever like huddle as well. It was just because in every other sport I've done, we've never done anything like that. So I
right,
think it was just that closeness and that bond, and no, it was lovely.
yeah. And before, so you mentioned before, and obviously it's a question I ask, and I ask everyone the daft questions, but how were the nerves that first game day, and what does a game day involve for you? So talk us through, firstly, your very first game, and then if you can, from getting up to kick off, what does your morning entail?
Okay, okay. So that first game, I don't really remember a single thing I did. I remember braiding my hair because I remember the girls telling me that loads of them braided their hair for games. So that's like really the only thing I remember from my first ever game.
Yeah,
Um, but my games these days, it starts with me getting up. I'll braid my hair, or I'll get one of my friends to braid my hair at the clubhouse.
that's obviously stuck then, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
really, really has. Any game where I don't braid my hair, I feel weird. I feel really
right.
like kind of superstitious. I'm like, oh, I've not braided my hair. Um, I've got a really weird pre-game ritual of getting a piece of fruit and having a pear is my favorite thing. And I'll hold up the pear and I'll say to the girls like, power of the pear. There's no power in this pear, but in my head, I did a joke once and I said, there's power in this pear, and it's just stuck. Doesn't matter if I have a
Yeah,
banana, a pear, an apple, I have to have a piece of fruit and say that there's power in it. And my best mate Shan made a joke one day saying about Vaseline makes your lips not dry, so you're less dehydrated. So I say to everybody now that I have to have Lipsil for a game because it'll make me run faster. So like I don't know why I have these weird things. So I have to have some fruit and say to people that there's
yeah.
power in it. And I have to have Lipsil because I'm positive it makes you run faster.
Right. And what time do you kick off? You said you play on Sundays?
Yeah, we play on Sundays and it's
Yeah.
2:30 kickoff.
Right. That's so when we up like in our so I'd say from six all the junior teams and then senior colts we used to call it, so it's under 19s, I think it's 18s now. We're all Sundays. When you got to 17, you kicked off at R12, which was a bit easier, you didn't have as long to wait around and stuff. The 2 o'clock kickoffs were always trickier, I felt. That's what we used to play at senior colts, so the start of senior rugby sort of thing. So how do you find the later kickoffs?
I don't mind it being honest because I've never not played a game that's not a 2:30 kickoff.
So you
So
don't know no different,
I
basically,
don't
yeah.
know any different. I think if I ever had a game that wasn't this time, I don't know if it would throw me off or it would just be weird.
Yeah.
So
And would you rather play a Saturday or a Sunday? You're happy with a Sunday?
I would 100% rather play a Saturday because when you get the
Yeah,
win, or even if it's a lose and you felt like you played good, like knowing that you can go out and celebrate, or I think the annoying thing of playing on Sundays is that you're walking wounded on a Monday. Like there's just no way about it. If you're so in Shetland we would say spaggy, and spaggy is basically DOMS. So basically when you like struggle to sit down on the toilet, etc., because your muscles are sore. So I'm terribly spaggy on a Monday because I just can't move. So at least if we play on Saturday,
you would be anyway, trust me. You would be after a Saturday, it doesn't change.
But even if you had that like kind of the Sunday to kind of recover, or to like go sit in a steam room or a sauna or just anything like that, do you know what I mean? Or die on the couch, at least you have that.
I say you are posh. You know, I posh the sauna or an hot tub and that. None of that. Just load of crisp, Lucozade on the couch. Yeah. So when you start playing, is it a wing until you begin to understand the little intricacies and stuff, and then where do you end up finding yourself, or just a wing somewhere you're happy at?
Yeah, so I was primarily always on the wing, and then for a while I was at fullback. And recently my coach has been putting me at 13 sometimes. So I've always played either 11, 14, 15 or now 13.
Right. So a few questions for you then, because you're a veteran now after 5 years. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
So defending on the wing, how do you find that? Are you someone, do you trust your 13 enough to hold your width, or are you someone that backs the pace?
No, 110% trust my players when I'm on the wing. I feel good.
Yeah.
The position I don't feel where I have like enough trust is 15, because I know I'm the last line of defense, and that's where I like shit myself. Because I'm like, if they get through me, then that's it. So
the only thing is though, what you've got to think of, and I don't want to be too critical of people, but for them to get to you, someone has not done their job, have they?
Yeah.
And then like you'll know yourself now, but when people flood through, it's never one-on-one, Ashley, is it?
Yeah, no. Never.
So it's just your decision making. So you don't like defending at 15 really, just because you feel like you're pressure the last line defense.
I just feel like I'm the last man standing. I just think the pressure's just a bit like, oh God.
Right, and what you like under the high ball then?
Awful. I cannot catch to save my life. So 15 does not suit me very well.
But do you find that the field's a bit more open for you at 15? And even maybe 13 a little bit?
Yeah, definitely, because you've not really got like that kind of one channel to sit and operate in. It is good. I do enjoy all the positions that I get put in, being honest. But I do worry at 15 the most, I would say.
Right, and what about 13 do you find tricky? Because I'd say as a defender, you're probably in the back line, probably the key man at 13 or key lady at 13, sorry. So it's just decision making, I imagine it comes down to, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the decision making aspect of, do you like kind of blitz up to get them, or do you kind of help with your winger alongside you, etc. I think that's the element. And then also you have 12 as well, so you've got that many options at 13.
Yeah. So just for viewers and listeners that might not know, so a blitz would be basically line speed, wouldn't it? So you go up as a flat, and then sometimes you'll play a drift, I imagine, Ashley. So you're up and out sort of thing, aren't you? It's I've no doubt people know it, they listen, but you've got to explain it a little bit, haven't you, sometimes? So with ball in hand, what is it that you enjoy doing most with the ball in your hand?
Running. I love running. That's my favourite.
Spaces, not faces.
Yeah, exactly. I will avoid contact as much as physically possible. I do not like contact, but I play 2 heavy contact sports, so it doesn't really make sense.
Which is bizarre. Yeah. So when you're in game time, did you appreciate how much you'd have to do? So there's vocally, isn't there? There's listening, there's understanding where you're at on the field to decide what you want to do. So when did you feel not so overwhelmed? When did you think, this is a bit of me, I like this?
Probably my second season is when I really started getting into it. My first season, I don't know if it's just because I had to learn a brand new sport whilst playing it. I never really gave myself the chance to learn away from the pitch, just because I joined pre-season and then the season started. So I think it was just the timing. I felt it was just always, I was in a game and I felt like I was doing a lot of things wrong and I just wasn't having enough time to prepare myself to learn the laws, etc. So I think it's when I came into season 2, that's when I was just like, right, okay, I'm starting to get this a bit more. And I think it was more of the strength aspect as well. I'd never really gone in the gym to sit and do weights or anything like that. And it was only after our coaches telling us that, like, if you actually have some strength behind you, this will make it easier. Because I always thought cardio, cardio, cardio. I'm the runner in the team, and this will just be it.
Yeah. So, how were the intricacies for you to get hold of? How did you find, like, where to put your head in a tackle, and how did you find having to come through the gate and things like that? I imagine that was all a bit.
That was all a bit much, and even now, like I make so many mistakes now.
It's how you learn, Ashley, isn't it? You're not going to get better if you're great at it straight away.
Absolutely. So no, I think the weirdest thing for me to understand was probably the laws of, like, knowing that you can't go in the side, etc., knowing what a ruck is, and it was probably learning more from the referees is probably where I've helped myself more now, of being able to understand what's going on, because I was always the player on the pitch that when they called something, I didn't know what to do. And I would just kind of be like stood. I wouldn't be getting back 10 or anything like that, or get ready for a quick ball, because I'd be like, I don't understand what's going on.
Right, and then the referee's quite good with you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Could you approach him in the bar after the game and say, like, what was the call with this? Or they're quite good.
Yeah, they're really, really good. And then our captains, etc., that we've had in our team are so knowledgeable too. So when something does happen, they'll relay it back to the team, and we know exactly what's going on.
Right. Obviously, if you play hard on the field, how's your social playing hard? How have you found the social side of rugby?
The social side of rugby was terrifying when I first went to a social. I never realised how much I could drink until I joined rugby. I definitely frightened my own dad when he came to the pub for a rugby social once. He couldn't believe the rate I was sitting drinking pints. But it was just...
What's the go-to, Ash?
Oh, I love Madri.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
You're a lager drinker.
Yeah. But then saying that, though, I'll drink anything sometimes, which is terrible.
Only after a few Madries, though.
Exactly. I don't know if that's a Scottish in me, though. I don't think it's got anything to do with rugby, that. I think it's just Scottish.
Yeah. So it's all a massive culture change when you first go, isn't it? So you're getting used to one, to go with. 2, to understand what you need, where you need it, when you need it. 3, you're starting to build little relationships, which you've been very good at in the past. So you've done it through school, which 2 of your best friends now are original school friends, which is great, isn't it? You've gone and seen a bit of the world and got to know people from the Shetland Council, and you've branched out in other communities, and it's probably without in some of the tougher communities as well, which we probably bypass. So South Africa is very still. I know apartheid isn't there anymore, but it sort of still is, isn't it? It's still
absolutely. There's still like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and then the Australians sometimes aren't the easiest to get on with if you're a POM, or they'll probably class it as a POM, won't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then so throughout your life, you've learned as you've got older, and you've got much better at it, building these little bonds. Was it easy to do off the field as much as it was on the field?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just like my personality, though, and just kind of the way that I grew up and the experiences that I had myself. I think it just came quite naturally to me.
Right, and surely in the old clubhouse they didn't have a posh Madri.
No, they didn't.
So what was you having to?
What would I normally drink? When I first started, it was very much like the designated driver. So I'd be the one that would sit and shove everyone into a mini and take everyone down to the pub. So that's what I would do. So I'd normally have like a shandy. Right. But when I did start going out and drinking with them, it would literally just be, I love Malibu. So probably a Malibu and lemonade or a Malibu and Coke.
Right. And what's women's rugby like? So is it quite fast if you got it more than enough teams to go and play? And
We've lost a few teams in our league after COVID. We found trying to get people back into the sport was a little bit difficult. I think it was just, well, COVID changed so much for everyone, didn't it? But we did find in the women's league that we lost a few teams, which is unfortunate, just because they folded because they might have not been able to get the original team back together. The period of time of being out of rugby, I think contact sports kind of frighten people as well.
I think people have just got used to a new routine, haven't they?
Yeah,
They've got
definitely.
too used to not doing it. Yeah, because that's definitely happened in the men's game up here. The
Yeah.
numbers have drastically dwindled, and they've tried to. I don't know what it's like for you, but they've tried to regionalise the leagues. So we had
Mhm.
like a breakaway. So I think the furthest journey was 50 minutes because that was one of the big issues in all travel.
Yeah.
So hopefully the game will keep growing, and because the
Hopefully.
Welsh Rugby Union as well are starting to centralise women's contracts again, aren't they? Or
Yeah, they are.
we've
And then
seen something.
the
Yeah,
WRU, like they've just started doing contracts for women. So it's incredible of where the sport's going for women's rugby. More and more
yeah,
people. So for example, we've had 6 newbies this year for Shotton Steel. Like that's incredible. Like knowing that we've got that
it
many
is.
newbies in such a short period of time.
Yeah,
So the word's getting out there a lot more. So
yeah.
fingers crossed.
No, that's it. So how does American football fit into your life? Where
My
did this come from?
best friend Holly, she played rugby with me and she played at Cheshire Bears for American football. And they were doing rookie day sessions. And she said to me and my best friend Shan, so it's the three of us, all playing rugby together. She was like, come on, just try it out. And we went and I loved it. I was just like, oh God, how am I going to juggle these sports?
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, all
that's a
things down
Saturday
to
you
Holly.
mentioned.
That's a Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, right. So how do you find doing the intricacies of rugby with very little padding to doing the intricacies of American football, which are different, aren't they? With
Yeah.
a lot of padding, how do you find that?
So I went back to American football a few weeks ago and we were doing tackling drills with the padding on. And with my coach beside me, I said to him, I was like, I don't like tackling with padding on because I just felt restricted. I just felt like I couldn't move properly. I didn't really know where my head was getting placed. But obviously the rules are that much different with American football. You can just bang into someone basically, and it's classed as like a legal tackle.
No, that's it. Yeah. So do you find it easier transitioning from rugby to American football, but then it gets difficult going back?
Yes. So I find that doing rugby to American football is easier. But I find that when I play American football on a Saturday and then go to rugby on a Sunday, I'm doing American football things in rugby. So I
Okay.
kind of like when I transition from the two sports, I bring the habits from one sport into one, which is told no. And then
Yeah.
when I do the opposite thing for the other sport, they're just like, what are you doing? I can tell that you've played American football or can tell you've been playing rugby. So it's hard because they do,
Yeah.
they complement each other really, really well, the two sports, but at the same time, they really don't. So,
No, they're very different. Yeah,
yeah,
aren't they?
absolutely.
So position wise, where would you be playing in American football?
So, American football, my first season, I was running back. So,
Right.
I loved it. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Um, but then unfortunately, I broke my ankle in rugby. So I had to take a
Okay.
season out of rugby and a season out of American football. And I've come back to American football and rugby. But for American football this season, I'm going to be a linebacker. So I'm going to be joining defence rather than
Right.
offence.
So yeah, so you're getting a bit of the bash now. You've had the carrying. So talk to us about that injury then, because that's not minor, is it?
No, it was just a bad body positioning when I got tackled. I got tackled by two women at the same time. One took the upper half, one took the bottom half. My ankle just went.
Right. And
It
did
could
you
be
know instantly?
no,
No, right. Is
no.
that adrenaline? Do you think that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I drove home on it. because no, I told myself it was my tendons. I literally just got it in my head that I couldn't suffer a bad injury, but I couldn't walk on it. My ankle was obviously a big balloon. It was horrible and yellow and fat. And then the following day, I was hobbling around using a mop as a crutch because I couldn't walk. Still telling myself it was tendons. I think it came to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon the following day that I was just like, no, I need to go to A&E. Yeah. And I got there and they were just like, you've got a spiral fracture on your ankle and your ankle's displaced.
That's a nasty one as well. Yeah, a nasty one.
So, because the lady, when I went to the hospital, my ankle was just kind of, at this point, I couldn't really move it. It was displaced as well.
Yeah.
And she was like, can you move your ankle up? Because I need to x-ray it. And I was just like, I'm moving it. And she was just like, you're not moving it. And she told me to stop being lazy. She was like, stop being lazy. Just move your ankle. And I was like, I actually can't. I cannot move my ankle. And she pushed it into position and got the x-ray and she came through and she was like, I'm actually really sorry. She was just like, you must be in a lot of pain. She was just like, you've got a spiral fracture and a displaced ankle. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, but I don't think.
How did you get that back in?
So I had to weight bear on it for a week in a moon boot to try force it back into position because of COVID. They said like we might have to operate because they told me at A&E like don't eat. We think you're going to have to need surgery the following day. I was just like, oh God, this is awful. But just because the likes of COVID still like a high thing, they said you need to weight bear and to try place my ankle back into natural position rather than potentially forcing it into position I didn't want to go into. So I tried to weight bear for a week. I couldn't really weight bear. It was so painful. But by the time I went back and got the moon boot off, then they said that I put the ankle back into position from weight bearing. So then I got my casts, etc. on. And thankfully, surgery.
I was going to say no pins, screws, bars, nothing.
So thank goodness.
Right. How do you go and get your confidence back when that's right? How do you do that?
So I hung up my boots. I said to my team, I was like, I'm done now. I was just that frightened of an injury like it happening again, and I was frightened about taking time off work. And then we went for a rugby social. We went to the Heart of Wales Festival, and I brought my boots with me as kind of a joke to be like, oh, if they really need me, I'll put my boots on and I'll play. I probably shouldn't admit this because my dad will probably listen to this. But I was half cut. I had a few to drink because I was just like, oh, I'll be Dr. Courage. I put my boots on and I played.
That's it.
And that was it. I joined rugby again. So if I didn't do that, I don't think I would have returned to the sport.
Right. I was going to say, and how was work with that? Because it's a nasty one, isn't it?
Being honest, work was really, really good. I had a really good manager. I think it helped that COVID was still a thing because people were working from home. So I was lucky to be in a position that I could work from home. But I think if, for example, if I was in the job I was in now, where I have to be out and about on sites, etc., I wouldn't be in such a lucky position.
Right. No, it sort of good and bad, isn't it? You've suffered, but obviously it's your work hasn't suffered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I did come to an element where my work suffered, I would have to be like, no, I have to give up the sport.
Yeah, but at least you think sensible, don't you? Some people go and try it until there is no work there then. And the rugby doesn't pay your bills, unfortunately, does it?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So when you miss them seasons, are you still going up the club and watching, and are you still going to the American football and watching,
So I said I was going to go to American football, but it was just things were happening at the time, so I never did. I wish I did though. But for rugby, I live 5 minutes away from my clubhouse. So yeah, I'd go down, sit and scream at them.
I've actually seen a picture, I've seen it. Is it when your foot's on the...
it's on the sideline.
Barrier. Yeah.
I went down with my moon boot to go support them. But I think that was really, really hard going down and supporting them, knowing that I couldn't play. I just felt like I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't giving anything back to the club, but obviously it meant a lot that I was on the side of the pitch with them. But at the time, I was
Yeah,
just like, I just want to play. So
right. And how does it go about? Is there any like rep opportunities for you, or do they have
um,
like a North Wales women's team? Or
yeah, so there is. So there's more like rep opportunity coming up. So we have something called RGC, which is kind of like the North Wales League that you get selected for. And then from RGC, there's more opportunities in terms of Scarlets, etc.
right.
But one thing that's like getting more of opportunities here is the Rugby League.
Yeah.
So I've joined that.
Right. So have you played rugby league before?
No, never played. So they've literally just started a women's league for rugby league, and we're
Yeah.
waiting to do like a taster kind of session and things like that. So
So are you girls from Shotton Steel going to play both courts? All of
yes,
you?
yes, some of them
Yeah.
are. Yeah, so not all of them. It was like someone used to play for Shotton Steel for us. She left Union, joined League. She joined Warrington Wolves, and
Right.
since then she's managed to represent Wales. She got a Wales shirt. She got her cap. So she
Yeah.
was kind of like my inspiration to be like, well, you know what, I want to try League and see if it's good or not.
Right. Have you watched it?
Yes, I'll go down and watch the boys play League.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. I'm not gonna lie, because one of our rugby coaches, he played League, so we would go down and support him and things like that too. But
Yeah.
I can't get my head around it. But I'm sure it'll be something else.
Well, so typically, instead of staying on the floor when you tackle, just got to get up and play the ball. And the other thing is, that the back foot it doesn't exist, so you just got a 10-meter shuttle run.
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly, they're the main changes and the 6 tackles, so you'll be more than fine. Everything's pretty much the same, and you won't have to go up in a line-up. That's
Yeah, there
nice.
we go.
Yeah, well, you can't say you're frightened of a challenge, can you?
No, definitely
You're
not.
not bothered. You'll throw your body into anything, won't you? So,
Definitely, I'm a glutton for punishment, I think.
so what banner will the Rugby League be under? Will it not be under Shotton?
I don't know, so it'll come under the North Wales Crusaders.
Right?
That's who it'll come under, but I've got no idea in terms of what the league will look like. I don't know what other teams are potentially going to be coming forward or if it'll always kind of be away. So it's really exciting to see that it's really in the development stages of it. It's brand new, just kind of putting the toes in the water to see what's happening with it.
There's quite a bit of women's rugby up here, so there's a good chance that you might get like in it like a pool system. So
Yeah, it
there'll
might be
be
like cross
if
the
they've not
border.
got league games, yeah, you'll be able to play the odd friendly here and there. But the best of luck with that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting started. It'll be good fun.
Oh, but yeah. So when all these opportunities are coming, was this never ever in your mind at all when you left home?
No, never. Never in my life.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's madness. So these Six Nations parties, how do you go about organising them? And are you the heart and soul of things?
Um, I wouldn't say I'm the heart or soul. It's probably my friends. Like they're always wanting to get together and things like that. And I'm just lucky in the sense of like I've got my place and I'm just like, oh, let's just come to my house or anything like that. Because I think the friendship group that I've got, I'm just so lucky to have them and how we all socialize together. It doesn't matter what we're doing, we'll always have fun. So it's that good. And then obviously next weekend, Super Saturday. So
Yeah.
I'm already like dreading my hangover.
You're prepping.
Yeah.
So what's the future ambitions for you? Are you happy just going about playing the game? If the rep stuff doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I would
Yeah.
definitely put my hat in the ring. They do like RGC trials and things like that. So I'm definitely not of an ability to be selected for anything like that, but I would 110% try.
Yeah.
So
But so there's no harm in going. If nothing else,
exactly,
it's a
that's another
lesson, isn't
thing.
it? You know what the standard is, and yeah, no, that's exactly it. Right, so come to that time of the chat, I have a few daft questions for you.
No problem.
Right, so we touched on it a little bit, didn't we, with the fruit and stuff. So any pre-match superstitions, barring the fruit and the Vaseline for your speed.
That's it. It has to just be the power of the fruit, and Vaseline makes you run faster. That's my pre-match superstitions. Obviously, I think everybody has the same pre-match superstitions of you have to go for a nervous pee and a nervous poo.
Yeah.
But I think everybody does that.
Well, you only do one. You're not that nervous. So you might not know them. You might just remember a club or a number. So the toughest player you've played with and against, bearing in mind the definition of tough is different for everybody. So you might see someone that does the nitty-gritty stuff that no one notices, but you might see someone that'll just smash anything that moves.
Definitely. To sit and put it on one person is so incredibly tough. Some of the women that I play against, you worry when you have to line up against them. You're like, oh God, you're my opposite number. And then there's other times where we're doing the warm-up and I look at my team and I'm like, thank God you're wearing a Shotton Steel shirt. Toughest player. I don't know, being honest. I love being put up against my own team in training because their confidence gives me more confidence.
Right.
So that's what I really, really like doing. As much as I don't like it at the same time, because when I do get paired with them, I'm like, please don't hurt me. But at the same time, I love it because their confidence kind of like comes into me. I don't really know how to like explain it any better. It's just, I don't know. It
just spurs you up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it gives you an extra level or 10% or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, your favourite away ground that you've played at? Because you're quite lucky with yours now, so we can't say yours.
Yeah, definitely. Away ground.
Without being rude, I bet you go to some shitholes, don't you?
Oh, don't. I won't mention one of them.
Yeah. No, you don't need to, but I imagine you do.
Away ground, I'd probably say... Oh, no, because I don't like that pitch. I like their clubhouse, but I really don't like their pitch. It's sandy. And then some other away grounds I've gone to, I've never played there, but I always sit and think like, ooh, this will be nice. But I was actually just in Nottingham last week because my best friend got selected to play for Team GB to represent the fire service. Nottingham Rugby Club looked really, really good. The pitch was amazing, really, really good facilities and things like that. But I've never played there, but I watched it.
Yeah. What would you rather have? A good pitch and a crappy club? Or crappy pitch and a good club?
A good pitch.
Definitely. Would you? Yeah. Even if the showers are rubbish?
Oh, well, we've been to some places that like don't even have them facilities.
Not very much like that.
But when you play on a good pitch, it just makes you feel better. We've gone to some places that have got great clubhouses, but the pitch just gives me the fear. And then you don't enjoy the game so much because your confidence isn't in it, or you're just like, oh God, I have to go play on that pitch. And you just don't enjoy it as much. But when you're on a good pitch, it's like, oh, this is incredible.
I'm slow, so if it's a muddy pitch, everyone's as slow as me then. Right, so if you're out and you've had a few Madries, dark fruits, like we've said, there are other beverages available, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, my go-to karaoke song. That's a good question. I'll sing anything, but I don't know the words to many songs, so I'm really, really good at just making it up or just like making a noise. I don't even like sing sometimes. I'll just like kind of squeal.
Yeah, but you'll get up.
Yeah, I love sitting singing and make a tip myself. Anyone that comes in my car on away games, they'll get my carpool karaoke. I feel for them all. I really, really do. But any songs, ask me anything from The Greatest Showman. I love The Greatest Showman.
Love saying that.
Oh my gosh, John.
I know, I've been told several times, I will have to watch it.
It's dead good.
Yeah, so it's a Greatest Showman mashup.
I love it. It's my favourite.
So, if you could go back and tell a younger you something that you've learned, what would it be?
To just always be your authentic self. For I don't know how many years, I would just try, fit in, or adapt so I could suit other people's needs or fit in a little bit more. And it's not worth it. I'm my most
Yeah.
authentic self, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. It's just,
Do you think that's held you back in the past then, Ashley?
yes,
Yeah.
110%. No doubt about it, because I was never confident because I didn't know who I was, or I was never certain on what decisions I would make, because I'd be like, well, if I'm trying to be somebody else, they would say yes. But if I was trying to be me, I'd be like, well, I would say no. So I was always kind of caught between two worlds sometimes when I wasn't myself.
It's understandable. Right. And if you can, even if it's just your Shotton girls, give them a shout out. But your 1 to 15 that you played with.
1 to 15, what's that mean?
So your starting team for Shotton,
Oh, Jesus.
what would you pick it as?
God, this is hard, this.
We can leave it if you want.
I don't think I want to be on the pitch with anybody else apart from Shotton Steel. But
Right. How many girls do you have?
I don't know, being honest. I think registered, I think we have high 20s. So in the club.
So do you all manage to get in a game day squad, or do you have two teams?
So it's one game day squad. Sometimes we do struggle for numbers. Quite a lot of our girls in the team, we work shifts and things like that. So availability could sometimes be a bit difficult, but no, it's just one team we put out.
So say you had late 20s all available, would
Yeah.
you all get a game?
So I think we're allowed 23 on the team sheet.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So
Yeah.
does it get a bit tricky then?
We've never had, I think we might have had 23
full,
maybe once
right.
in our lives. I think that's been it.
That's the beauty then, I suppose, isn't it?
Definitely. It's few,
Right.
few and far between have we ever had to sit and say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Right. So feel free to fire some names at me who you think would probably be a standout to the team if you were to pick it.
Oh, so I wouldn't have anybody else at my 10 than Leanne Parry. Love her to bits. Such a good 10, made for that position.
Key position as well, that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That fly half stand off.
Ooh. Number 8. I'm just picking some random numbers here. Has to be Holly Hughes or Zoe Elizabeth. Has to be two of my Shotton girls. So good. And I'll just pick one other number.
Yeah.
Probably say any of the flankers. Lauren Jones, absolute hero on the pitch.
Right, that's a tough position to play as well, isn't it?
Oh my golly, yeah, she could go anywhere. I've seen her do hooker, I've seen her do flank, I've seen her be in the backs with us. She can literally just go anywhere.
You don't want to get used to playing up, yeah. Is there anywhere you fancy playing and you've not managed to play there yet?
I went through a phase when I broke my ankle of wanting to be 9 because I thought 9 don't get tackled that much. That's how I always saw it. I was just like, because they always have that like kind of tactical element of kind of getting the ball out or anything like that. I've never played there though. Don't know if I would actually enjoy it now. I think that was just kind of like a phase I went through in my mind because like the confidence is just somewhere else, and I just thought, oh, maybe I'll go into like a tactical position. But no, I would love the wing. The wing's my favorite.